Finn. And I'm Sawyer. And you're listening to Our House, A to Z.
What's up? Welcome back, A to Z listeners. Good to have everybody out with us.
Yay, happy Friday, everyone. I can't believe we're back. We had guests, we had vacation, we went away for Zach's birthday, so it feels like it's been a minute, but I'm happy to say that it's
I turned
Thanksgiving
40.
time.
It was uneventful.
It was uneventful? You feel like it was uneventful?
I mean, uneventful in like bad events.
Oh.
Like in terms of...
Now, what would have something bad, like what could have been something eventful for your birthday, like in a negative type way?
I don't know. I could have had like a... I know we've talked about midlife identity crisis. I could have had...
Like you could have woken up with like a beer belly on your 40th birthday?
Yeah.
That would have been eventful.
Well, I mean, you told me that you described some physical things that were not going to be permitted in our marriage. Like concerning me...
That could really
going over the hill.
Broad at this point, and I probably just shouldn't have brought that up at all.
Well, you know, in terms of the beer belly, I'm just going to have to watch my alcohol consumption to make sure that... Just kidding, I don't drink. So 40.
Yeah. We have 40. It was a lot of things. The social media fast ended. We had...
Or did it?
Well, it hasn't for me yet. It hasn't ended yet. I mean, maybe by this time this podcast comes out, it will have.
No, I'm saying in order to end, it had to have begun.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who like felt the conviction of...
for the 19 people out of our church of 13 to 1400.
No. A lot of people did it.
How many would you say?
I don't know. Zach, I can't. How would I ever know that if I wasn't on social media to know who wasn't on there?
No, that's good. I'm just, right answer, I guess. Good
I mean,
catch.
there were a lot of people who talked to us about it and were like, I mean, even like Edwin was up last night doing a testimony at prayer and was like, well, we've been on the social media fast. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's like just so many people you wouldn't even think. But then there are people you would be like, they're not on social media. There's no way this person's on social media. And it's one of my family members that's going to go unnamed. And I'd be like, that's social media. And they're like, no, it's not. You're like, yes, it is. Instagram is social media. It's like, it doesn't count if I'm just looking at such and such. I'm like, yes, it does. If you're opening social media, it is. She's like, no, that's not the same thing. I'm like,
what is?
It is.
So let me ask you, what is social media to the person that says Instagram is not social media?
She was saying, well, it's not. If I'm not going through and scrolling through everybody's pictures and I'm only like checking one account, then it doesn't count. I know.
It wasn't a fast from doom scrolling.
I'm not going to say it was.
It wasn't a doom scroll
maybe
fast.
Maybe it needed to be. Maybe that's what they felt compelled to.
Where the real problem was.
Right.
Maybe.
So
anyway, I've been surprised at how many people didn't do it, but I
loved when people would go up to us and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, did you see such and such?" And you're like, "No, I'm not on social media," and they're like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah, they're like, "Me neither."
Me neither.
Somebody else screenshotted it.
Definitely sent it to me.
I love that. It's funny.
No, I think it was really great. And so it ended on Monday, the one that the church did. And I still haven't cut back on yet because I just am like, do I want to open that door? I don't know. I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah.
I get overwhelmed. I was telling my sister this morning, I'm like, I get overwhelmed with the amount of communication because it feels like everywhere you turn, you're responsible for communication. Like whether it's one of 3 email addresses that you're like, okay, I got to check all the boxes and make sure I'm communicating to all of the people who email that. You have a phone that is also getting communications. And you're like, okay, I got to respond to all those things.
Yes.
Then when you're on social media, you're also getting messages that way and people are communicating to that. So you have to go, okay, I have to make sure I check all the boxes of the people I need to communicate with. So for some people, like social media is just like fun and you can just like scroll. For me, I see it as like
more work.
It seems like more work. It's like, okay, more responsibility. Like it doesn't feel like, hey, relax, responsible, free zone. Nope.
No.
It's like, oh gosh, who am I going to let down? Whose messages have I missed? Who did I
Babe, these are the burdens of leadership.
No, I think it's just my personality. I think some people are completely unfazed and are like, yes, messages. I'm going to write back to all these people. I can't wait. This is my favorite part of the day. That's not me. It's not me.
Okay. So you're not done fasting, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like it.
And if that's the only reason why I'm going to do it,
I think it's
because I know there's going to be messages and I'm going to feel bad if some people have no problem not responding. They're like totally unfazed to not respond to people.
But it's definitely a spiritually superior move to say, oh, I'm still fasting social media. That's why I haven't returned your thing. I like it.
It was not spiritually superior. It's embarrassing.
I don't think it is.
It's
I think it's great.
embarrassing. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have, everybody else has the capacity to just be like, yay, we're back on social media. This is fun. And I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I like you better. I mean, I feel like I like the new
What
you.
does that mean?
The social media fasted you. I like it.
Why are you acting like it's two different people?
It served me well. I'm just saying it's great.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
Yeah, wait, you're saying that and it's acting like I'm on social media all the time.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I like you on the fast. I think it's great.
Because why?
I don't know. I haven't built the bridge. I've just said in the last,
Did you like me off the fast?
you know, I'm embarrassed to say not really.
I'm going to kick you in the shin.
Just kidding. No, I like you. I love you.
40 could hit you harder than you imagined.
I like you on the fast and off it. I've seen it be good for us.
Yeah.
That's good to say. It was your idea. The whole thing was your idea. So there.
So there you go. But here's something. This is the season of reflection, right? We're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love looking back. You know, we're preparing for the Thanksgiving Eve service and talking about like going back to the beginning of the year. I love doing this just personally and going back through your photos on your phone from the beginning of the year.
Which a plane ride is always good for because you can do it in airplane mode.
You can do it in airplane mode. But I love it. Just being like, oh my gosh, look at everything that happened this year.
It's crazy.
And
It's a
you
big
see
year.
the good, the bad, the ugly, but you see the crazy things. You're like, oh my gosh, how was that this year? Like, how did that thing just happen this year?
I know.
So we were just planning for Thanksgiving Eve service and we're talking about, all right, like, what do we need to make sure we include in a slideshow? And we're going through like, oh my gosh, like we moved into the new space this year. Like, how is that possible? How are we like just traveling around with
6 months ago.
backpacks and
I know.
multiple services and all of that stuff? How did that just happen? How did this just happen? Like, just it's crazy. But I feel like it's so good for us as like human beings to look back because we can always have our eyes on like what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next, because we're consumers.
Yeah.
And I think it's so good. It's like such a healthy practice. And that's why Thanksgiving is like just a cool holiday because that's really the idea of like, all right, I'm going to look back and not just see what's happened, but like look back with gratitude
Yeah.
and
good.
thankful, like a thankful heart. So I think it's such a good practice with Thanksgiving coming up. But your idea for this podcast is you thought it would be better if we looked back at like things we were not thankful for because you don't like to be cliche. So
Yeah, exactly. When you look back, when
like,
you were
do you
scrolling
remember when
through
we
your
got
pictures.
engaged and you bought my engagement ring and we went out on Valentine's Day, but you wouldn't propose on Valentine's Day because it was too cliche. And so you proposed the next day
That's true. I did do that.
because you don't like cliches.
I can't believe you remember that. Do you remember where we ate?
No,
I'll give you a hint. It's closed now.
I know. That's why I don't remember the name. Was it Rhodesia's?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the only time I'd ever been to that place. It wasn't like significant to our relationship or anything.
No, we went there for Vinny and Mindy's rehearsal dinner.
I know, but I didn't eat. Remember, you
Oh.
picked me up at an airport that night. Like
Ooh.
you were there for the dinner,
Okay.
and then I think you came and picked me up at the airport, and we went there and said hi to everybody. But that was it.
We're talking like 20 years ago, so
Yeah, I was just
almost.
I was just thinking. It's funny to me now, like looking back. Like if you had to plan a proposal right now to me, like now that you know me, what would you do?
Oh, that's good.
What would our proposal look like now?
Way to get me on the spot. I mean, I'm only going to say I want everybody
Would
to know
you take me to
this.
Rhodesio's?
It's closed.
Would it be a Brazilian steakhouse? Would it be a place that with all you can eat meat?
I thought you were more Portuguese than you really are. I thought back then.
What?
I don't know.
They're Brazilian.
I thought like, oh, pretty girl with big eyes and like nice skin in New England. She must be Portuguese. So
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh, she must love meat.
I was still, yeah. Well, I didn't know how much you loved it. If I would have known, I would have taken you
The
to.
all you can eat meat place.
She don't eat meat, but she sure
Okay,
like
da,
a
da, da.
bone. Where's John to sing the background music again? Mary Mo. Oh, Ben Scott's. She's a vegetarian.
Is it funny at all to you now?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to me though.
I mean, I
again,
didn't think about it. I didn't think it was like weird or anything.
I also,
I was like, I don't know how old I was. 23.
I didn't understand really. So you got to think,
22.
I didn't really understand the all you can eat meat thing either. I was only there for a rehearsal dinner and they weren't doing
Right.
that. It was like a catered thing.
Yeah, and it was just funny. Like that's the place.
To me, it was like, that's a fancy restaurant. That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then
And I was 22, and I was like, sure, this is awesome.
we went
Let's do
up
it.
to the top floor of the Biltmore.
Yeah,
Because why?
because
Why?
because
Why?
we. I don't remember. I mean, I remember we were at the
Because
we had the
top
wedding.
floor of the Biltmore was special.
So
my
so
God.
it was a recreation of Minnie and Vinny's wedding.
No, it wasn't a recreation.
It was their rehearsal. It was their rehearsal and their wedding.
I hadn't thought about that part until just now. It was like the only fancy restaurant I knew
We
about.
danced at the Biltmore.
We had our first dance, and
We
you
had our
sat by
first
me at the
dance,
piano.
and it was so nice. And you played the piano for me.
so
it
then
was
I
so
took
romantic.
you back to that spot.
Yep.
And proposed.
And what happened?
Well, there was a wedding going on.
There was a
up
wedding
there.
going on.
I hadn't planned for that part.
We get to the top floor, and the doors open up, and it's like a wall of people.
Yeah.
And we were like,
I'm like, oh, I guess this isn't going to be a quiet, intimate moment.
This
But then
is-
you go down that hallway, and the piano was like by itself down at the end of the hallway. Remember?
kind of. It's very blurred. It's very blurred. You were in one of your really rushed things where you
Yeah.
like just left the car on the side of the road, and that was stressing me out with like the hazards on, and that was making me like nervous. And you were doing the rush thing because
You
when
were
you get
wearing-
excited about something,
Remember you were wearing that
rushing.
white sweater?
I do because of the pictures that my parents took of us.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I had on that gray corduroy jacket, that
Oh,
blazer.
the classic.
Yep.
It was a classic.
Anyway, those were the days.
Those
okay.
were the days.
So, no, if I had to do it over again, I think I'd do it exactly the same.
You do?
Yeah. I love it. I loved that night.
Oh, it was great.
You said yes.
I know.
So, I mean, it didn't go that bad.
I know, but I don't even remember what you said. Isn't that terrible?
No, I didn't get down on one knee.
I know. It's so rude. It's like
So-
everybody waits for
it's-
that their whole life and
it's
you
so-
didn't even do it.
It's so cliche. And we don't do cliche. Okay.
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 I was like, is he proposing? He's not down in okay. Do people usually get I don't know. I've seen movies. I don't know. I've never experienced this before. Here we are.
Why
okay.
aren't we taking our
We're
cues from
engaged.
Hollywood on this? Darn it. We should have. We should have learned everything we know about proposals from the movies. Please. I'm more of a romantic than that.
Oh, jeez.
I played you a song.
Yeah, and then after,
Like
I think
a
you
part
told
of a
me you
song.
played it for your mom at some point, for something, for like.
No, I don't think
Yes,
so.
you did. You said you played it for your mom. Oh my gosh, what was it?
I played it for my mom?
Oh my gosh, it needs to come back to me.
The only song I ever played for my mom was that Billy Joel, She's Always a Woman.
Yeah, she steals like a thief, but she's always a woman.
But I rewrote it.
Oh, for the wedding. Was it for the?
For her, I rewrote it for my mom. But that's not the song I played you.
She's always a woman to me. Did you? Oh, you just yourself. Maybe it was.
That song might be more about my mom than I thought. Anyway, she
Anyway.
listens to these podcasts, so let's
she
not
does
keep
not.
going any further. But anyway, I am pretty sure that I played for you the song that I walked in the office singing you today, which
Yeah.
is so funny that you brought this up.
That is funny.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Probably not a great proposal song. It just came to mind as I like ran to the piano with my heart beating 150
Babe, you're so
miles an hour.
romantic.
Oh, please.
Oh, my
You've got plenty to
gosh.
complain about, apparently.
No, I don't. There's no complaining. It's just funny when you think about it now. It's just funny. Like, if it was my birthday right now, would you take me to a Brazilian steakhouse?
Maybe. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh. It's like you don't even know me.
I'd take you to the ice cream barn
There
for
you
sure.
go. Okay.
For dessert.
Okay, fair.
But you love a good Brazilian steakhouse.
I do.
Who doesn't? It'd be weird if you didn't. If somebody's like, no, maybe if you're a vegetarian, you're not.
I'm not. It's true.
So with that said, we are happily married and
Yeah.
have been for 16 years, so it worked. We locked it in.
Why do I keep thinking you were married for 17? It's 16. Okay.
You're probably rounding up. No, we crossed.
It will be
in
17
July.
years.
We're in our 17th year.
Well, don't say that because then it's confusing to me. Those are the things that mix me up.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so what are you not grateful for? Looking back on 2024, what do you feel like are some things you're just like not grateful for?
I'm not grateful for election years. I feel like
Okay.
I was just telling the SOS class that I teach, I was just telling them today, like in some ways, I almost like think that it would do us some good to be in a country where we couldn't vote. I feel like it would.
Don't say that. That's terrible.
I know it is terrible, and I'm not wishing that or praying for that, but I am saying like I think it's done like such a disservice to the unity of God's people, and it's a
But here's the
freedom.
deal.
That's the
Here's the deal.
That's the irony. It's
Voting
a freedom.
has not been the disservice, and voting has not caused disunity. Media has caused disunity. The enemy has caused disunity in the church and in the world.
I know, but I want the church to be better than that. I feel like you're right. You're right. But I feel like, okay, if the media causes division in the world, that's one thing. But for it to cause so much division in the church, it's just like disappointing to me.
It is,
and
but
I'm not grateful for it.
Isn't it crazy to think about? There have been hundreds of years of voting in presidential elections. And even though parties were different, beliefs were different, whatever, your platforms were different, it never caused the disunity it does now. Why is that?
Because people are at an unprecedented rate of self-consumption. Like, people are more selfish than ever before.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think that's definitely a big part of it.
And our country is like maybe less Christian than it's ever been.
Okay.
And I feel like the Christian piece, even though we have a lot of Christians who are so stupid divided over all of the nonsense, I think that piece of it, like, we're not led by our values and our morals anymore. We're led by emotion and persuasion and
empathy
and consumerism.
Yeah.
You know? So to me, that's a loss, and I am not grateful for it. I'm not thankful for it. I regret it. And there are things I would give up, good things that I would give up. I would actively like sacrifice to say, no, let's be a more mature church, you know?
Yeah, I get it. But I think it's like you, at this point of where we are, you could do away with voting as it is, and you'd still have the disunity that you have, because something is deeper than that at this point.
No, but
unfortunately.
But my point is, and so this isn't really a topic of our thing, but what I was telling our SOS class this morning is like, you know how people always say persecution purifies the church? Mm-hmm. So like, and they'll talk about China or whatever, and how pure, like how on fire, and like, you know, they're seeing miracles,
right,
and people are getting saved at unprecedented numbers because it's like so pure, it's so intense. I've always thought that statement, persecution purifies the church, I always thought that it meant that people who weren't Christians for the right reasons would no longer be Christians. Like if you were just a Christian because it was cool or popular or
right,
easy or comfortable, then persecution would make all those things null and void, and all those people would leave, and it would be smaller, but it would be more real. But after watching like how stupid like evangelicals and just Christians in general have been about the election,
like behaved,
I actually think that persecution would purify us by, let's say nobody actually renounces Christianity because of it, like all the other people who aren't Christians for the right reasons. Persecution comes in. Let's say China takes over America. We become a communist nation. Christianity is outlawed. Okay, let's just say.
Yeah.
So now all the people who were just nominally Christians, they're out.
Right.
Okay, so we lose, a third or something of Christians. I don't know. Now, out of those 2/3, let's say 1/3 is like hyper conservative, Republican, red, Trumpy, whatever, and the other third is all uber lib, blue, Democrat, whatever. Okay, so those are the 2/3 now of Christianity. Well, when persecution comes in and these people can't vote, there's no freedom of speech, there's no freedom of religion, there's no freedom of everything. Those people that are on those two sides, they don't have like the luxury of campaigning on all their nonsense. Mm-hmm. Neither side. Mm-hmm. Suddenly it's like, okay.
Like what would you do without social media?
We're going to be Christians, and our life depends on us being together in this.
Right.
And we're going to support each other. We're going to pray for each other. We're going to help provide for each other. We're going to share everything. Even though in another more free climate, we might not get along, when everything's taken away and we're just surviving, mm-hmm, I feel like it purifies us.
Okay.
I'm not praying for that.
But you're not thankful for the election year.
So anyway, yeah, what about you? Is there anything when you look back over 2024 and you say, I am not grateful?
Man, I'm not grateful for the process of moving. I did not like that. I did not like that at all. We've
moved a couple of times. I can't think of one time that you loved it.
No, I hated it. It's very stressful to me. The house is great. Feel super blessed. The moving part was terrible. And a lot of that is just because, I don't want to point fingers, but sometimes the way you behave around moving is very stressful to me. I'm not grateful for it. I was not grateful. I'm grateful that you get a lot done and you get all the stuff moved.
I am the one who moved us.
I'm not grateful for the stress.
You're welcome.
You're saying that like I didn't do anything.
I'm not saying you didn't do anything. I'm saying I knew that it stressed you out.
I've packed up all those rooms, organized all that stuff.
And then what?
And you're like, where are the boxes? I got to get these boxes out. And you're just throwing stuff into pods. And
I did not.
I
I
need to
was
keep
so
this stuff
careful with
organized. I need
everything.
it in 2 different things. And
Like I want to say 2 things got broken.
not 2 things got broken. Multiple things got broken
2 things got broken.
in my fragile kitchen boxes. And probably none of your tool stuff got broken.
Tools don't break.
None of your
China
probably
does.
None of your musical equipment got broken because it was probably packed with bubble paper and stuff.
Ceramic dishes break easily.
When boxes are slammed. Anyway, not thankful.
Anyway.
I was not thankful. I was not thankful for all the bills this year.
Ooh.
It was like such an expensive year. It felt like everything is expensive. It felt like electricity was expensive. All utilities were expensive. Groceries are expensive. Moving was expensive. I am not thankful for the bills.
Yeah. I get it.
It would be awesome if like the economy did a little bit of a shift because it's seeming like a little bit ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
It's like just everything. Every budget line item that I have on our budget, I've had to increase over this last year. Every line item.
Yeah.
Like that's crappy.
More money, more problems. That's what they say.
What else are you not thankful for?
Gosh, I am not thankful for... I can't really think of much. I feel like, Scripture says be thankful in everything, right?
You told me to say things I'm not thankful for.
I know, and there are certainly things I'm not thankful for. There's like a pursuit. Like, Lord, help me grow into a place of gratitude for even hard things, bad things. But our lives aren't really hard or bad. They're just complicated. But I do think that gratitude this is like the setup, right? So we're both talking about things we're not thankful for. I feel like gratitude, it's like love, where a lot of times we think that it's passive. It's like, I fell in love. I was just walking along and I fell in love. I think a lot of times we treat gratitude that way. Like when we're talking about things out of our flesh that we're not thankful for, it's like, well, those things are easily connected to things we could be thankful for if we just made the simple decision.
Of course.
And I think that can be the real sign of maturity, the real like decision-making power that we have is don't just be passively grateful or like, yeah, it makes sense. I'm thankful for this. I won the lottery this year. Or I got a raise this year.
You said I wasn't allowed to talk about thankfulness today with it being almost Thanksgiving because you said it's too cliche. You made me think of things I'm not thankful for, and now you're saying why it's more mature to be thankful for things.
No, I'm saying I went first.
You forced me into this exercise that I didn't want to do.
I went first. I said I'm not
thankful for this experience right now.
I'm not thankful. I said I'm not thankful for politics in church, but maybe there is a more mature me waiting to come that actually appreciates the fact that we have the opportunity to, speak into these things. I don't know. What I'm saying is the not cliche thing that we're doing is we're setting the stage with our lack of gratitude to say how important gratitude is and the fact that it's actually an active decision we're committing to.
I've been had.
Like, if you had $1 for every time you said that.
I feel used.
Talk about being used. Okay, so no, I just think that it's good. It's like it helps to look back and say, wait a minute, there are things that rubbed me the wrong way this year. There are things that frustrated me. There are things that I was not thankful for. But in reality, if we're instructed to be thankful in all things,
right.
I think that there must be a way to do it. So what is the way? What's the key? How do you crack the code of gratitude?
I don't even know what you're saying. How do you crack the code of gratitude by
How do you
being
become grateful? How do you become grateful about something that you're
being
not
intentionally
grateful about?
grateful. By looking at things even in a crappy situation, like how irritated I was with you about some of the stuff that happens during the move.
During the move.
And like how you get so anxious and all of that. But I'm so grateful that I have a very capable husband who gets a lot done and that I'm not the one lugging these boxes while he sits on his behind with potato chips and watches TV.
Dang.
Or that he's not gaming all night because he's loading pods up.
You can't say that. There's too many gamers that listen to our podcast.
It's just about gaming all night when you have other responsibilities.
We're going to lose our Fortnite endorsement.
So that's what you have to do. Every frustration, you have to be able to find things that you're grateful for in the midst of it.
Marriage is probably the best place to do it. I think I've learned a lot about that too. Even crossing into 40, I feel like my perspective has shifted a lot. Just even in the last week.
So it was an eventful week.
It was very eventful in a good way.
Perspective shifts.
Uneventful, in the terms of misfortune. When I was saying uneventful, it was uneventful, good. No news is good news. But the perspective shift, I think, it just has to do with, less about where we've come from and more about where we're going. You know, they call like these age like thresholds, like decade thresholds, like, oh, you're over the hill. What is it? Is it 50 is over the hill?
40.
60? 40's over the hill.
Yeah.
40's over the hill. And you know what I feel? I feel like the last few years were like the click, 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 click. And
So you do feel like you're over the hill. So it is 40.
I think it's 40. I didn't know which one it was, but I can relate to the idea of like, I sense a more of like a momentum into like where we're going instead of where we came from.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't hate where we came from.
Right.
In some ways I love it, but in a lot of ways I probably dwelt too much on it.
Okay.
So now it's like you're over the hill and it's coasting. Like there's a gravitational pull towards the future. You're not working against it by climbing. Now you're like saying, all right, Lord, we're on this ride.
Right.
And I love that. I love that for us, like our marriage. I love it for our church. I feel like, all right, we're ready for it.
You feel like you're
Feel the
seeing
wind.
bigger.
Feel the wind in my last few strands of hair.
Don't call them strands. It's weird. It's creepy.
Wisps.
Wisps. Better. Better than strands.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm hopeful.
Good.
Grateful. How
That's
about
great.
you?
That's great.
You got a few more months.
Yep. A few more months
Of
till I have
clicking.
that perspective.
Click, 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 click.
Yep. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Can't
It's
wait
going
to
be
look back.
It's going to be worth it. That's all I have to say. But anyway, so no, at the end of the day, I know there are things that we're not all grateful for. I know, to you listener out there coming in hot on Thanksgiving, I know that there are things that you're like, really? I can't say that I'm going to this table with like this overwhelming sense of gratitude and thankfulness. I know that. I know that we can look back and say, yeah, this happened. This was a hard year. This was a tough time for my family or for my church or for my community or from my work or whatever. This was tough. Like this was tough on my bank account this year. You know, more went out than ever before. Less came in maybe than ever before. I don't know. But what I do think is that don't feel like condemnation because of that. Just maybe open yourself up to the conviction of shifting your perspective.
That's good.
That's it.
That's great.
That's all I got.
And 2 quick announcements for everybody because I
What do you
love a
got?
good announcement. 1, come out to the Thanksgiving Eve service. It's going to be so great on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. So that's obviously the night before Thanksgiving. And then there's the whole like Thanksgiving Bags of Hope 5K on Thanksgiving morning. That's always fun.
Oh.
I've never made
Thanksgiving
it because I'm cooking on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah.
But a lot of our family goes. And lastly, we have to give a shout out to Homemade. Homemade. They are still slaying it at the dinners for everybody every night. And you can feed a family of 6 to 8 for like $50. It's pretty great. And it's good home cooked food Monday through Friday. You can pick up anytime between like 3:15 and 6 o'clock.
They do the
And
chicken parm on farfalle, which is, you know, my favorite bow tie pasta. I love
That's
it.
only for you. I think that's only for you.
Really? Nobody else gets the bow
No,
tie?
I don't know if any other people get it, but I think it's on for Folly because of you.
Oh, well,
It's like why I got the Greek night,
yeah, you love
which somebody
Greek.
said, my mom was saying that was their worst night, and I'm going to disagree.
Well, we're going
She
to
said
ask our
nobody
listeners.
wants Greek food.
We're going to ask our listeners to really support Greek night at
Greek night, homemade.
Yeah, it's
And
so
there's
good.
a lot, there's a lot of good nights.
You don't even like olives.
Chicken
and they
piccata
put
is a great
olives in
night.
it for me. So chicken piccata is delicious. There's a lot going
Chicken
on.
pot pie.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of good things. So homemade, what is it? Homeademeals.kitchen. John always gets mad at me because I don't say this right, but I think it's homeademeals.kitchen in Seekonk. And you can order online
you
and
can pick
use
it up at a drive-through.
It's
Yeah.
great.
It's the old sip and dip.
Yep.
Yeah, on
On
Mink
Mink Street in Seekonk. So go check them out. All right, Our House friends and family, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we will see you next Friday on Our House.
This is Messer. And I'm Willa. This is Our House from A to Z. Thanks for coming over.
Well, isn't that special?